Hi, if you're watching this, then you're looking upon a much happier, more carefree Casey. One who has actually found the time to edit. One who has finally gotten over her final exams. It's been rough. I've not been this stressed out in a long time. I keep having nightmares where I totally forget to do all my assignments in one class. And so I get an F. I've not had a finals week. It's actually been like 2 weeks of taking finals. Because we've had all of our tests due, and projects due, and final exams due. But I've not had as much issues scheduling time around these exams and stuff because 2 out of my 4 classes this semester were awful at like giving you notice ahead of time about what is due. Like I'd just be chilling, casually scrolling through my grade book, my assignment book, so sure I did everything already due this week. But then I'd see like 4 more new assignments I'd never seen before, and they'd all be due in like 2 days. And then there'd be like a little note attached saying, oh, I forgot to add these 2. Have at it. I hate my professors. So that's my life. How y'all doing? What is up, you guys? It's me, your girl, your Casey. I managed to read 6 books this month in the midst of my anxiety, panic attacks, madness. Well, I DNF'd 1. I'll get to that. 4 out of the 6 books I read this month are a direct result of another video I've already completed. It may be up already, it may not be, but basically I let a reading app called Likewise pick what I'm going to read this month. So I let that happen, chose the book through a wheel generator too. So look forward to that video, go watch that video if it's already up. I don't know what my editing, uploading schedule is, but it's just going to be me reacting to see whether or not this reading app actually knows my reading taste. It actually recommended me 2 Stephen King books. So, you know, bloodshed, horror, bodily mutilation, it knows me. So well done, and let's get into this reading wrap up. I decided to kinda try to diversify the genres that I read. So at the beginning of this month, I tried a cutesy romantic contemporary called Beach Read. Now this one, it started off so well, like so unique for contemporary, but then like towards the second half, it started hitting all those cliches and subplots, like everything I'd expect from a contemporary. So it kind of lost all the charm and quality to me, but it was still very cute. And it was about 2 writers. So I'm like, ooh, will I see a little bit of me in you? Because hi, I'm a wannabe writer, but not cutesy romantic junk. No. Anyways, Beach Read. We have our main female protagonist. I cannot remember her name. Let's name her Alice. Alice has been living, so far, the most perfect fairy tale happily ever life. Good parents, good job, you know, she's always grown up wanting to be a writer, and that's exactly what she is, putting out novels, series, pages of just women's fiction. She writes nothing but cutesy fairy tales, and that's the life she's living. She has a devoted, hunky boyfriend. And so life is just pitch perfect until her dad dies. Oh, bad enough? No, because at the funeral, this whole stained glass masquerade she's been living under of painted on smiles and rose tinted glasses, it is shattered because little did we know that her daddy had a side chick, a whole nother woman that he's been hiding away. And our main girl Alice didn't know this until she met the woman at the funeral. And so again, it just shatters everything our girl Alice thought she knew and loved about life, and it sends her into like an existential rabbit hole, deep depression. Her boyfriend's like, oh my gosh, you are not cool anymore, I'm breaking up with you, you're too sad to be rad. So now she's single. Oh, and because she's majorly depressed and heartbroken, she's like in a deep writing slump, writer's block. I tried to combine the words. So, you know, it's her job to put out books. She's not writing books. So her agency is like, hey, you owe us a book in like 2 months, so get to it. Our girl Alice is like, I don't want to, I hate everything. I can't write about cute lovey-dovey junk because I do not believe in cute lovey junk anymore. The world is nothing but a pit black hole. That's her whole mindset right now. She wants everything just to be vaporized in acid. But when her dad died, he left her his beach house. The beach house he was charming the other woman in. So she needs money. So she's like, I'm gonna go fix it up and sell it, and I'll use this time, this isolation, to write this book I have to get done in like 2 months. So she goes to the beach house, and oh my gosh, it gets saucier because living next door to her is this hunky man. But she knows this hunky man. It's not her ex-boyfriend. No, even worse, man. It's this guy she's known since college. And this guy who is her writing competitor, her rival. And so when they see each other, they're just like this meme. No one's happy. So Alice is like, okay, I'm just gonna put blinders on, not gonna look over at his house. I'm just gonna keep my mind on the computer. Oh, there's a bookstore in town. I'm gonna go walk around the bookstore. So she goes to the bookstore and she meets my favorite character named Pete. Pete's a girl. Her real name is Posy, but she's like, do I look like a Posy? No, I look like a Pete. Call me Pete. She's so sweet. So our girl Alice starts, talking and making friends with Pete. And Pete, she now knows Alice, who's a writer, and she already known Mr. Hunky next door neighbor writer guy. And she doesn't know that these two hate each other. So she's like, oh my gosh, I have 2 new writer friends. I'm gonna try to set them up together. So we got like this constant fighting tension between our 2 writers. And then we have just cute little Pete popping up everywhere, just trying to like get them closer together. And someone's gonna kill somebody. Not literally, but you sense that someone wants to kill somebody. Then it gets even worse, okay? Because what happened to the other woman? The woman, Dad was schmoozing with. This is her town. So she's here too. All this drama all around our girl Alice. And I was watching it unfold. It was so funny. And Mr. Writer guy next door, he's just like watching from the background, watching this girl like fall apart. He's like, ha, that's what you get for writing all that cutesy woman fiction stuff. All happiness and gumdrops. I write literary fiction, where we talk about the gritty and the real, the ugly and the real. And so our girl Alice like puffs out her chest. She's like, my books are just as important as yours. So Mr. Writer guy is like, oh yeah, prove it. So in the midst of all this family, love, side chick tension, our main guy character and our main girl character agreed to swap genres. He's gonna write women's fiction, she's gonna write literary fiction, and whoever gets their book published first, I think they get like the endorsement of the other author, someone to like give a blurb for them on the cover or something like that. They agree to meet like once a week to give the other person lessons on how to write their new genre. And so, it's like a date. It's like, this is a romantic contemporary. So all of that, I love all of that. It's enemies to lovers. It had a lot of personality to it. And our characters are writers. You can tell that because they're like narrating in their thoughts. And I felt it. I could tell they were feeling it. It was very good. But, so as our 2 main characters, of course, this isn't a spoiler, of course, they're gonna like get close to each other. It's contemporary romance. They start to be like drawn to one another, and then the kissy stuff happens, and the lovey-dovey stuff, and then it just starts to lose its edge. Like, it was good for the first half, but then the second half just became a standard contemporary. I have to prove the boy wrong, make him drop his guard, stuff like that, the standard stuff. Girl needs to learn how to love again, basic rom-com stuff. Also, I had to sit through 3 chapters of sex scenes. I am not fond of that. I know it's part of the genre, but I basically have the constitution of an 80-year-old. You can't get me too excited. I might have a heart attack and die. Also, in the beginning of the book, there is something going on between main character girl and the other woman who was having an affair with her deceased father. It was like building up for them to like come together and kind of like make amends and start a relationship with each other. But I felt like that plotline just kind of like petered out. For me to really like a contemporary, it has to be excellent with its humor, and it was like that, so that's good. I do recommend it, especially if you're just a regular contemporary lover. I'm trying to get into that. That's why I love the book Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. That was amazing with its humor and very little with the romance. That's what I like 80% humor, 20% romance. This one had like 40-60, 3 whole chapters, and I'm just sitting there watching them. Does that feel weird to anyone else? Next up, okay, I have a whole separate review for it. The Other Emily by Dean Koontz. This book was awful. Oh my gosh. I go into deep spoilers. I basically tell you everything that happened in that book in the dedicated review video. So if you want to get into the meat of my thoughts regarding that awful book, go watch that. Because do I think you guys should read this book? No, I think you should just watch the video and just be like, oh my gosh, how did this get past like an editor? It is so random. The plot is just like someone threw spaghetti on the wall and someone framed it. But then someone sensible came by and smacked it with a hammer. But no one took the framed spaghetti picture down. So it's just sitting there, all shattered and stained and messy. That's this book. I should have DNF'd this book because it was just a complete waste of time, but I had to see where it was going. It ended so weird, man. It's a 1 star. I haven't had a 1 star in a while, dude. The other Emily begins with this heartbroken young man, also a writer, but his writing plays like very little into this book. 10 years ago, there was a serial killer on the loose. He went after women, tortured, assaulted them, killed them in his basement. He wrapped them up as mummies, embalmed them because he planned on raising them back to life as like his harem. Yeah. Eventually, he got caught. The police were able to save like 4 girls still alive in his basement. They found the bodies of 9 girls, pre-mummification, so you know, just a good old-fashioned corpse. So that's 11 girls, and Mr. Serial Killer like confessed like, oh yeah, I killed those 11, but I also killed like, I can't remember the exact amount, but let's just say 14 more. And so the police are like, okay, well, where are they? And serial killer, that's when he's like, I've mummified them. When I get out of jail, I'm gonna raise them back to life as my harem of brides. You'll never find them. And through these past 10 years, no one has ever found these bodies. We don't know the identifications of them either. And our main writer guy, I think his name is Daniel, I don't care. His girlfriend went missing 10 years ago, and he is convinced that his girl, his fiance, is one of those missing mummies. So he visits Mr. Serial Killer guy regularly in jail to try to get him to tell him like, hey, do you know my girlfriend Emily? Was she one of your victims? And Mr. Serial Killer guy, because like Mr. Daniel Ryder guy is the only person who like comes visits him, he's like, I ain't telling you nothing. So Ryder guy is heartbroken. He goes to a bar, but when he's at the bar, he looks over and he sees a girl. And she looks just like Emily, the Emily of 10 years ago. It's like as if she was just frozen in time, or maybe time itself has been rewound. Is this a second chance? Our boy goes up to her, and she sounds exactly like her. She likes the same interests. She likes him, like invites him to like hang out later, go on a date. And after that, that's when the book gets crazy bonkers. I mean, everything I told you right now kind of sounds like a thriller. What you need to know about this book is that it's a sci-fi. It is heavily reliant on a sci-fi twist without properly building up, because for most of the book, it's just a plain old thriller. The science around that twist is only dropped once, and it was never mentioned again until finally the end. So everything just came out of nowhere. None of the characters was likable. Our main protagonist, like all his personality is the obsession for his girlfriend. And just as a person, he does some dubious ethical things that are not good. The side characters in these books are crazy. Crazy. One character, I don't want to get into spoilers in case you want to read this book. Why would you? But one side character has forced sex with a comatose woman. One woman is so sure her husband is a pedophile, so she dresses as a young girl to tame his taste. Okay. Also, this new girl that looks so much like the old Emily, her name is Madison. She's crazy. She breaks into Daniel Ryder's house, and he's not taken aback by this. He's like, oh, hey, my bed's right here. Then it's the next morning, and he's like, wait, how did you get in my house? And she's like, I knew where your key was. I'm a needy creature, Daniel. I need to be loved constantly, forever. Then she tells him that she is an assassin. Yeah. And then she says, I won't kill you. I only kill the bad people. So all these people are cuckoo. Completely cuckoo. You can't like any of the characters. The plot, twist, even the genre is just so confusing. And it is a thriller, but a bunch of this book is just dedicated to interviewing people. So it's just so boring. And we did have this one kind of chase scene happening in a dark basement, but it was broken up. The pacing was just broken up because our main character, Daniel, would not shut up in his brain. He's running, but he's monologuing in his brain about the ethics of what he was about to do as he's running from a knife guy or something. So, I hated this book. It's just bad. And I see this author all the time. He has a bajillion books. So I'm like, think you're like scraping the end of the bucket, man. Like, yeah, not good at all. Don't read it, please. Watch my video on it. Okay, next up, we have the book I DNF'd. It's called The Rook. I DNF'd this one because it was super info dumpy in the beginning. First, I'll tell you the plot. So, our girl Miffany, rhymes with Tiffany, is spelled like in a Gaelic way. Miffany wakes up, but she's not in bed. She's standing straight up in a field, fully dressed, and she's just surrounded by dead bodies. And she's like, did I do that? And she's got amnesia. She don't know who she is. Doesn't really know her name yet, doesn't know why all these bodies are strewn around her, but she like pats herself and she reaches into her pocket and there's like letters inside addressed to her from her before the amnesia. Past Miffany knew somehow that she was going to be attacked and get amnesia, so she's prepared all these letters for the present Miffany trying to figure herself out. Past Miffany through the letters tells new Miffany that she was a part, like a head honcho of this organization. I cannot remember the name. It starts with a C and it's like spelled Chuway or something like that. I'm just gonna call it the Secret Spy Department. She's part of the Secret Spy Department in England, and it's comprised of like superpowered individuals who just protect the great land Britain. I honestly can't tell you any more about this organization because, like I said, so info dumpy that I'm like, I don't know. What are you saying to me? Past Miffany in the letters points out that, hey, I had a very high position. Someone in the organization is trying to kill me. I don't know who it is. I know I'm going to lose my memory, so I've left you, new me, a hoard of money. You can either choose to flee the country, or you can try to step back into my old life and figure out who's trying to kill you. New Miffany is like, I ain't getting involved with all of this, and she tries to flee the country. It does not work. So she has to take option B and go back to work at the organization that she knows someone involved in is trying to kill her. I mentioned superpowers. Miffany has the ability, kind of like, Juliet from Shatter Me, lethal touch. You touch her, she can control your whole body. She can make you go that way. She can make you pee yourself. You can just die. She can make you go blind. All that. And she learns later on that she actually has a partner, like in the organization. She is what's called a Rook, very high position in the organization. She has a co-Rook named Zusak. Zusak is interesting. Zusak is one mind that controls 4 bodies, but I honestly didn't get to see a lot of them because I DNF'd around this point. So it was so info dumpy. I'm like, it sounds kind of cool, right? Except I knew who the villain was. Well, the lackey of the villain. It was very obvious. So like I said, old pre-amnesia Miffany is writing all the letters to post-amnesia Miffany. So are we introduced to the workings of this organization? Like, little tidbits every now and then? No, we have to go through pages and pages of this letter of just like history, world building, and I can't take all that information at once. Like after I was done, I'm like, I still don't know anything about what's going on. We'd have like these flashes from the past shown with these letters that really had no bearings, importance regarding the real plot going on. I guess it was just there to show how competent pre-amnesia Miffany was, but it was just so much at once. And then we were introduced to a bunch of characters at once, and I couldn't tell who was who. Too many people. So because I was kind of just drowning in information, I had to part ways. Okay, I hope you get your memories back, Miffany. Full name, bye-bye. Next up, we have The Book Thief. I hate historical fiction, but this one was good, and it was so sad. Like, this eye, a little tear welled up on this eyelash, but I like sucked it back in because I don't cry. Unless I'm reading Locke Lamore, because that was so heartbreaking. So this book, okay, 1940s, Nazi Germany, big booms are going on because, bombs, it's war. And even though our girl Lysel is the main character, we're not in her point of view through the book, but we are But really, the personification of death is telling the story. When he comes in, it's suddenly first person point of view. When it's gone back to Lysol, it's in third person. So really, he's following her around because her story is just so interesting and sad. I mean, when you got death following you, you know you're destined for some doom. And I was pretty excited to read this book, like just a little smidgen of excitement, because I've seen this book all throughout my life. Like, I'm homeschooled, but I was in public school from like until 6th grade, until 7th grade. I went to 6th grade. But at all my schools, they had this book, like in duplicate, all on the bookshelves. It was required reading. And now it was time for me to finally read it. So you know how like in Narnia, okay, the mom has to give the 4 kids away and they have to live with a family in the countryside to protect from the bombings and stuff like that? That kind of happens here. Lysol and her brother are with their mom en route to be passed along to this foster family that's agreed to take Lysol and her brother in during these war times. However, Lysol's brother dies on the way there. That traumatizes her for surezies. She doesn't want to part with her mom, but her mom's just like ready to like get her out. Lysol gets taken in by her foster mom and pa, who she just like completely falls in love with, especially the father. And he's just the sweetest man. So sweet, he might be harboring Jews in the basement. Duplicitous. So the majority of this book, it's interesting. It's the life of a German girl, so the master race in this book, and how the war of Germany versus everyone is afflicting the people back home in Germany. It's like people, vendors, merchants, shop owners who don't join the Nazi parties have a hard time making it in the world. Jews, just like led by Nazis, are marched through the city on their way to a concentration camp. It shows multiple perspectives of war. The people who are a part of it, for it, have to live with it, trying to knock it down. It's a juggling act of humanity, and it was very sad to watch. But most of this is just a little girl trying to live her life, find some happiness. She does like start to like get in, blend in with her town. She makes friends, especially her best friend Rudy, I think. Rudy's like, one day I'm gonna marry you. And she's like, I don't want your kisses. And I'm like, kiss, because I ship. And Def's in the background like, oh, this will soon fade. Very interesting. Again, so sad. My favorite part of this book is that one of the characters who is in a state of severe isolation, but he has some books around him and some paint. So he starts like ripping out pages of Mein Kampf, the book Hitler wrote. He like paints over the pages all white so he can write his own story, makes a new book out of it, and he starts just like doodling pictures of his own life and what he's been through. And it's such a good, like, it's a visual, it's an illustration. You can see these pictures in the book. But what's more like, honestly, horrifying is through this like tale, you can see the hateful words of Mein Kampf bleeding in through the paint. That was like, ooh, the visual. Like all these people just trying to live their lives, and then it was just so sad. And yeah, because death is following everybody in this book, a lot of people die. And it was people I liked. But towards the end, and this is like one of the parts I didn't like about this book, is you remember what I call a Sandlot ending, where the book ends and then kind of like in the epilogue, the narrator just like details how the characters are living their lives now. Oh, character A is now running a convenience store. Character B is now mayor of so-and-so town. Kinda ends like that. It's very boring and detached to me. I don't like those endings. But also, this book kind of like slips off the main timeline. Like a big event happens here. A bunch of people die. Then it like rewinds to like when they were still alive. And then it goes back to when they die and like continues on like nothing happened. And I'm reading the book and I'm like, well, I can't feel happy about these happy moments they're having right now because you just showed me their horrible death 2 pages earlier. So I don't like it when plots like skip timelines and stuff like that. So good book. I give it like a 3.5 because even though I liked it, I didn't have like the drive to finish it. It was mostly out of obligation, but still, it's a very good book. Very sad. And next up, I'm gonna review The Shining and Christine, both by Stephen King together, because I have a lot to say about The Shining, but not a lot to say about Christine. The Shining was 5 stars. Loved it. Christine was around like 3.5. Like Stephen King is slow, man. For sure slow. It takes forever for something horrifying to happen. But what like makes up for that slowness is that he's very good at making characters realistic. So I have finally seen the Shining movie, and I cannot take it seriously. It is hilarious because Jack Nicholson is just like crazy right out of the gate. Loco cuckoo banana puffs. But in the book, even though he's a horrible man, you know, trying to kill his wife and son like that, it shows the duality of him pretty well. You know, the drunkard, the hopeful optimist, the struggling I read so many books about struggling writers this month. Oh my gosh, is this like foreshadowing for me? I'm actually doing pretty good at writing right now. Not bragging, but I'm bragging. The Shining is about a family of 3, mom, dad, little boy named Danny. Danny's a psychic. He has like this voice in his head that tells him stuff, and he can like sense things about to happen. He can sense other people's thoughts. But he and his family are struggling. There's not a lot of moolah going around because daddy, Jack Torrance, he was a very drunk man, very alcoholic, and that alcoholism made him very unpleasant at work. I think he got into a fight with someone and they fired him. So he needs a new place to make money. And there's this hotel called the Overlook Hotel. It's hiring for like a groundskeeper, caretaker to look after the hotel for the 6 months it's closed because of the winter. Like, it's the Overlook Hotel, it's on a mountain. People can't get up the mountain with all the snow, it's impossible. So why run the hotel then? So Jack agrees to take the job, he brings his family up there. What we don't know, what we kind of know, but we don't know the depths of, is this hotel's very haunted, like multiple murders, homicides, suicides. It has happened here, and it stains the premises. And the hotel, the entity of it like sees Danny, this psychic boy, and it's like, I want that power. So now it's like torturing this family, especially Jack, who has all these adult pressures on his mind. And so it's a combination of cabin fever, his relapses from his days drinking, the spookiness of the hotel, the ghost, the troubles of Danny as the hotel is attacking him. It drives the family to madness, and it was amazing to watch. I loved it. Again, the characters were my favorite part, especially Jack, because again, the movie painted him as a psychopath that you're kind of rooting to die, but I felt so bad for him in The Shining. I'm like, this poor man is literally trying his best to change. And now you got like the forces of hell conspiring against him. And Stephen King likes to make things that aren't scary, or at least tries to, like fire hoses that come to life. I didn't think the topiaries, you know, the bush animals, were scary at first, but now that I'm imagining me up against moving bushes, it kind of actually scares me. I'm allergic to grass. So if you're a character-driven reader, I think you'll like it. It was so good. It has a kind of a messy writing style, actually, because normal stuff could be happening, just descriptions about the apartment or whatever, and then suddenly a character's thoughts will just like pierce through it. But I like that. It's very like in tune to how a real person thinks. Like, we're not just like completely devoted on this one thing. We'll see something and then a thought will just like intrude our own thoughts. So I really like that. And I thought that was just Stephen King's writing style. That was my first Stephen King book. So when I read Christine, which is like around a 3.5, I think, I thought it would be the same writing style, but no, it was completely different. So I guess King was trying something different in this book. Christine is about high school kids, so immediately I'm like, So I didn't get like a sense of deepness as I did from the characters in The Shining. Oh, do I have anything bad to say about The Shining? It's just like the first 50 pages is a lot of explaining about how boilers work. I guess that's the worst thing. Besides that, I got nothing. Like, it's pretty good. What was the scariest part to me? The naked lady. Also the dog man. What's up with him? But yeah, I didn't get a sense of the deepness as I did the characters The Shining and Christine. Christine is about this duo, high school friends. We got Dennis, who's like your all-American boy, popular and all that. Then we got Arnie. Arnie's ugly, pimples everywhere. He's under the thumb of his parents. Never made a decision for himself, but one day these two best friends are driving down the road. Dennis is driving. Arnie's looking at the passenger window and he sees this ugly, rusty, just completely trashed car for sale. He's like, I want it. And Dennis is like, heck no, man. I'm your best friend. I cannot take responsibility for you making this decision in my car. And Arnie's like, I want it now. So Dennis reluctantly agrees to go back. They check and see how much the car costs. And Dennis is like, dude, you're getting rooked. And Arnie's like, want it so much. Can you just please lend me some money? So Dennis does, and then crap hits the fan because Arnie just gets this obsession for this car. And soon him, his loved ones, even Arnie's future girlfriend, feels like they're competing with the car for his affection because this car's name is Christine. So you know what I said about like how 50 pages of The Shining was like devoted to boilers? Well, most of the pages in the Christine were devoted to how cars work, so I found that riveting. It was much slower, but it was also interesting because we were watching like high school drama, and I'm always for drama. And when finally, because in this book, like all the people who have bullied Arnie are now suddenly like dropping like flies. They're dying, being murdered in automobile accidents. Who do we know that is a car? Christine. Dennis catches on to this fact and he's trying to figure out what the heck is going on with Arnie in the car. And when the car was finally, you know, moving around and doing its homicidal stuff, that was horrifying. Because that thing would be killing people and stuffing their corpses in the seat and everything. Like imagine looking to your left on the highway and the car is zooming past you just stacked inside with corpses. That's horrifying, ain't it? And no one's driving. That's even worse. I think it was much slower than The Shining, but not enough payoff because it's a car. Climb up a mountain or something, go on a boat in the ocean, you can escape it. In The Shining, you couldn't escape the hotel because you're literally snowed in. There was more at stake, it was more personal. This is a car. Also, in this book, Christine, Stephen King writes women's bodies weird. Whenever they move, they flounce. Their chest, their boobies, they're always budding, blossoming, blooming. Do you not know what those words mean? Budding is like this. Are you telling me this girl's boobs are opening up like the Demogorgon's mouth? That is horrifying in itself. That is the real horror in the Stephen King book, the blossoming chest. So that was a bit wee cringe, but honestly, Stephen King's pretty good. Who knew? Pretty good. Definitely recommend The Shining over Christine. I really want to read Pet Sematary next because I saw the movie when I was a little lass, and it horrified me. Children, demon children, freaks me out, man. Regular children freak me out. But now, that was my wrap up, you guys. I had a 5-star in what felt like a long time, a DNF, 1 horrible book, and 3 other books. I'll catch you guys up on what month is this? My August TBR on what I'm reading. Well, what I'm reading now is My Best Friend's Exorcism. I love this cover. But until then, my bros, stay reading, my friends.